Greetings. Welcome to TotheWord, which is a conversion software for the Word Bible software. We're going to go into an in-depth tutorial today, and this was based on some feedback from a previous tutorial, an introductory tutorial. And there are some parts that have a little bit harder learning curve or are more unique or more complex. This tutorial is not designed to be a regex tutorial. We will talk about regex, but that needs to be elsewhere. You can spend much time on it. There are some good resources. Look on Google for regex tutorials and you'll be able to dig into that. But as to what we want to do is we want to help you get going a little bit more from scratch, a little bit more in-depth in converting a file format into the Word. Now, note something really important to note is almost every Bible will be unique, but there will be some similarities. For example, today we're going to be using USFM format, and many Bibles that use that format, which is a popular format with paratext, will use a similar. There will be some tweaks and adjustments to get it right. Or let's say you're using an RTF, similar things in the RTF formatting, but some tweaks and adjustments to get it right. Perhaps you're going to use XML, another excellent format. We've got many Bibles that way. You'll go through. Another one is SCML. Now, a lot of these principles that you'll learn in the Bible editor and these regex rules apply to the book editor. You just have to rethink them in dealing with the book editor format, which is more of an HTML format, but with some special tags. We're going to see in the in the Bible editor, it has its own unique tags, and we talked about them briefly in the introductory tutorial. And if you haven't watched that, I'd recommend you go back and try that. So in here, we are in the editor mode right now. We are in the Bible editor. Let's switch over to book editor, and I'm doing that simply so we can just kind of load the file in background. I've provided here in the version 1.9.6b. If you're using an earlier version, it's different than this, or if you're using a later version, it could possibly. We're going to go to open any text file, and I'm going to go ahead and open up in here. This is an example that's provided with TotheWord, so go into the TotheWord folder, go into examples, and then go text critical English New Testament. Go into the ENGTCENT USFM folder. Here this is the introductory content. I used an HTML editor. I used an HTML situation on the main to build my introductory. You can go in here and try to recreate it using HTML. That's fine. And also here's an appendix down here as well as here. We're not going to worry about these files. We have Matthew all the way through Revelation. So let's go ahead and hold down Shift and select all these files and click open. Notice I have the word wrap turned on for right now. You could, which is helpful. It may be more beneficial to turn it off in the long run so you don't think those are separate lines. Just for this particular, normally in the book editor you don't need it off, and then you can scroll over and look through the rest of the line. Now notice there are special tags that are used in the USFM format. I'm going to go ahead and open that format up for you, and you will notice we'll go in here into it a little different way. I'm going to go ahead and open up an about file. In here, well, it's not in the Creative Commons, but it's in the USFM format. And if you were to look that up online, let's go into that. It should be under Google. And look for documentation. And you will go to paratext.com and paratext.org/USFM. Now, when I go into building a Bible, I need to know what the original author was and what they were designing in their format, and then try to duplicate that to a certain extent in the Word. There are certain things that we have standardized according to what we need. So let's go into USF documentation. Right here, click this. And in here, this will tell us about what. Let's go to the website. This is the latest one. The documentation we're using may be a little bit older. Let's see if I can find out what version it is. Sometimes it'll actually tell you right in the files itself. I don't see it here in the documentation right off. I'm going to look in another file. In the same way, it doesn't seem to tell us what it is in here. I'm using Notepad++ there. Okay, so we're going to just kind of think about in a general sense. This is where building a Bible takes a lot of pre-thinking and working through and wrestling with concepts. To get a good quality Bible takes a lot of effort. There is no such thing as drag and drop and boom, you have a Bible. It takes effort, and that's why a lot of the Bibles you'll see in the Word Bible software that are official have gone through an intense amount of work. So going down through, you hit identification. You have ID, IDE, standard, H. So let's go to H. That's a paragraph. It's a running header text. So going back in here, you'll see there's ID. That is Matthew, the text critical English New Testament. Honestly, we probably don't need ID. So now, just to show you how this works, we go to the regex editor. I'm going to go ahead and open the regex file that I have. I have just a scratch one. Basically, it's empty. And what did I say we don't need? We don't need the ID file. Oops, we were in the book editor. Okay. And you'll notice sometimes it'll ask you if you need to save that RTF. For now, just ignore it. It's a known problem in TotheWord. It's something easily ignored. So we need ID. We want to get rid of everything on the ID line. So go into your regex editor. Copy that. I go in here. I click that. I want to get through the rest of the line. And that will do it. The dollar sign is for the end of the line. I'll need multi-line if I'm going to have it that with using dollar sign. And remember, we're not going to get into all the ins and outs of regex. You'll learn a little bit as we go. So here we have a simple one. The replace actually should be like this. Let's replace. Hit update rule. We want to get rid of everything in that line. Okay. Go ahead and save the scratch file. Go to Bible editor. And you, like I said, just ignore that for now. And go to Bible editor. Special load Regex-Rules. We're doing the scratch Regex-Rules. It'll have the abbreviation TTW Regex. And in here, you go to Open Bible Editor. We got those rules loaded. Now we go to Special Open. And we're going to just try just one file for now to make it quick. And notice, we do not have the ID and all the rest. But why do we have that backwards or the backslash? Well, go back into the regex editor. I forgot a small, simple regex item. And there we go. Double click this line so it knows what line you're on. Hit update rules. And save these. Go back into find and replace. But before that, in my situation, I actually want to get rid of the line, basically the whole line, that which includes the return and the new line, which is /r/n, and you'll see there's one on the front, one on the back. And I keep forgetting to double click there, the /r/n. And what I actually prefer to do, because it's a little safer, because not all files have those exactly, I prefer to put these on the front end. Update the rule. And note, now we need to get it, take off the dollar sign, update it again, and it needs to go from being multi-line to single line. This will actually make it take a little longer, but like I said, we don't need the single line because we're not using dollar sign anymore. Ooh, but we do. Because if we did it just like this without the dollar sign, it would delete everything after ID. And basically, your file would be empty. So let's not do that. Let's go again into Bible Editor and just ignore that for now. Open, Special open. There it is. Oops. You can see we got rid of the ID. Well, we didn't get rid of the ID. What's going on? So this copy that, so we have a reference for ourselves. Go into the regex editor, and you'll do this as you go. I'm going to put a comment in, and so ID mat. So we get it. There may not be a new line before it. There will be one after it. Okay. File save. No, you can work in here. If you double click this, you can work up in here, or you can just edit directly if you know what you're doing. There's a few items that are important. The single quotation marks followed by a tab. Single quotation marks again, followed by a tab, double bracket, and then the curly braces. Tab, curly braces. Okay, save this again. Go into Bible Editor. Go open. Let's see. There we go. Now we've effectively gotten rid of the ID. Okay, next thing. We know that H is the heading. We know that TOC 1 is the Gospel according to Matthew. TOC 2, Matthew. And then the Gospel according to, there's several options here. I'm going to go ahead and show you what we did originally in the original version of my TTWRX. I'm using here I use Notepad++ for different things, and this is EditPad Pro, a good file also. So let's go down in here. So TOC 3, I'm going to just show you a little bit of what we did. We need this. I'll put it into, go over into the editor. Actually, we'll just leave this open. And I'm just going to use the notepad right now. I like using different ones for various options. You can use the built-in regex editor. In TotheWord, you can use one over here as well. And so TOC 3, we want to take that line, go to the start of the line. So the caret stands for start of line. We want to, that's a backward slash, forward slash, depending on what you call it, it basically escapes a character. And then TOC 3 is read literally, space, star means as many spaces as possible, and then parentheses, and then full stop, star, question mark means up to the next. Basically, in this situation, is either a space or a end of the line. And we want to replace it with a BK name, book name, and this $1 signifies the parenthesis. And then the RO multi-line is so we can use the $sign and the upward caret. Okay, I'll save this. You'll need to make sure to save these things. The nice thing about TotheWord is it keeps that file right here. Basically, it's tucked in there, and it's kept as a setting. So now if I just go special open again, and we're just going to do Matthew just to kind of keep ourselves going, it quickly does. I'm going to turn the word wrap here. It quickly brings in the information, especially on a single file like that. It's nice to work with single files as you can, unless you have a huge file, because the smaller the file, the quicker the work. And you'll notice that we have BK name Matthew right here. Now, BK B name is from right here, and it means from this markup on. And what this will do is it will change when later when the book is built. The Bible is built using in the Bible build section. It will take and convert that to like the number 40 in this example, 40 dot. It'll automatically do that for you from this point until it sees the next BKB name. It'll do that for you. So let's go in, and we can leave this on. Get rid of the empty lines if you want. Now let's go onward to the next section. If you see in here, you have this is the backslash V is a verse, backslash P is a paragraph, and you see word. You have a word beginning, backslash W, and backslash W asterisk. So, and what we want to do is bring this in as a word and as the Strongs. So we need to learn a little bit more about what does the word need in its format. So we know that the USFM format is here, but what do we need in the word format? So if you go in here and you go into Bible module specifications, this is going to be your friend. You're going to need to dig into this file over and over. We know it has 7,957 lines for our New Testament, which we're working on. Old Testament is 23,145 lines, and together it's 31,102 lines. TotheWord will let you know if you're not meeting those line standards. It'll help you work that out. Continuing on, best format is UTF encoded, or UTF BOM is required at the beginning. Continuing down, there are some things that denote semantics. You got your ID, character set, font size. Not going to have to struggle with those because you can nicely, I'll just pull this off to the side. When you go in here into Bible Build, you fill out this information. It's going to work through and it's going to fill in that information for you. So continuing on here, got your description. All those items will be right there. For example, R2L, right to left, essentially what that means. Down here you'll see right to left language, and it explains for right to left modules, Arabic, Hebrew, etc. This should be added for proper display. Okay, we're not working on that. We're working on English with Strongs. So continuing back in here, go back to help again, go back to our Bible module specifications. You get your author, same thing. It's wise to put the last name, comma, and then the first name, and if there's a middle name, etc. I mean middle initial or middle name. Keywords, these ones are wise if you separate them by a semicolon, Strongs. For example, in our situation, we want to put, we could go in here and say this has a Strongs for keyword. I'm going to go ahead and load up the Bible configuration that I've already developed, and you can use this as well. And we're going to go ahead and load in Strongs. Okay, so we got text critical, semicolon, as it said, Strongs. So go back to help, Bible modifications. You'll see down here, we have ID. We have a random ID for now. By the way, do not use 0 or 1, 2, 3 or anything like that. That's super simple because you run the likelihood of using already existing official ID. You need to use a super random number, as like we have here, or request an official ID. Your language code, this is an English language Bible. You can see here's a list of them if you need to get any more. Character set, that's not something that you're going to always need to be. It's the standard Windows character set 161 for Greek. Most of them are in UTF-8 now. We're not using ANSI really anymore. If you do, I don't recommend it. Get it into UTF-8, or because it's a world of pain if it's the other one. Font, if you need some special fonts, for example, Accordance is one we use with our books a lot of time for special Hebrew or Greek characters or other characters. You might need that in this one. SBL has a good one for Hebrew. There's Cardo is one of our standards. Gentium is one of our Greek ones. Mostly you won't want to specify something for a Bible unless you have some specific areas you need it in. Your font size, if you were doing a Hebrew Bible, I'd say give it a +6 or something like that, because the Hebrew characters tend to be smaller. Maybe a Greek, you might want to add a little bit. So for example, on this, if we're doing English, we don't need to up that. Short title, you'll see that right here. It's under our abbreviation, TCNT. You got your regular title in English. Only use this if it's a non-English Bible, or in this sense. If it's English already, you're good to go. Description, a short description about what's in this Bible. Remember, you have an about page. So this is something that gives a kind of a brief summary of what's going on. Your version major. In ours, we need to update that to 1. I'm going to make sure to save my configuration file. Going back into my help here, Bible module specifications. Your version minor, here we just have 0 for now. Version date, if you leave it as a question mark, it'll automatically stamp today's date for you. Version, okay, R2L, we already did that. Author, we got that down here, so you can see I should make a minor correction here. I said last name with followed by a comma. Go ahead and save it again. Going back in here to the Bible module specification, keywords, we got those in there. Requires, the version that is required. I mean, I tend to put a later version. It's not always necessary. It is necessary with like Hebrew Bibles. You need like almost version 6 for Hebrew Bibles because there's a lot of specialized things in there. But just in English only, you could probably put version 3 or 4 in there. I like to do it in the latter one because I would like people to continue to upgrade with the Word and keep up to date on the recent additions to it. Let's continue on. Publish date. This one was published in 2022. This is the date the publisher set. Publisher, ebible.org is our assumption on this one. ISBN, this one does not have one, so we leave it blank. Creator, that's me going there, and I have my email. Contributors, people that help out or helped you out. Sources, ebible.org. Editorial comments, like you could put in, this is the first version. Or usually it's wiser for after you've done a version and you've made additional corrections. Those additional corrections are nice to have stamped in there just for your information, like, oh, I did this. Status, this text still needs proofreading. Example, I just have version 1 under here. You could put in, like that said. You will notice if you hover these items, it'll explain pretty much what we're going down and reading. Strong's Dictionary. I just want it to use a regular Strong's Dictionary. But if you were to put in a Strong's ID, what you would need is the ID of the module. For example, it might be D1. You would go into the module itself, like in the Word, go to Module Properties, look for its ID. That will link it as the standard for this particular Bible. Going back in here, you have your case, more of case sensitive. You can read these. I'm not going to get into complete detail here. The about file, it's better to have this as an RTF or RVH. The nice thing here is once you load the file into the Word, it converts it for you. You don't have to deal with the backslash that's required at the end of each line in RTF or HTML. The Word does that for you. You can preserve this zero width non-breaking space. Set this to 1 if you want zero width space to be reserved during searching. Okay. Tag rules, they're not something you have to always use, but here they are. Toggles. These will be used. You'll see down here we actually have a verse rule for this particular Bible. It is toggled with the headings, the CM, which is for lack of a better word, a paragraph mark. Continuing down, verse rules, and they combine with this toggle. And we have a verse rule in here. They're based on a regex principle. This is basically where our regex rules come from. We get into this, but a verse rule is surrounded by double quotations, space, double quotation. If you were going to add in a toggle, you'll see down in here on the verse rule, it'd be double quotation, the code, which is being replaced, double quotation, space, double quotation, here's its replacement, double quotation, space, double quotation, toggle, double quotation. There's another one that you could add on, which would be right here. So it can be search pattern, replacement, toggle, and then there can be an on search. I would recommend looking at other Bibles. The Berean Bible Interlinear has a lot of this information. The Byzantine BYZA has a lot of this. For examples, it's gonna take some time to wrestle through these, but there's a lot there. Okay, so here are some formatting tags recognized by the word in Bible module files. Okay, so we have underline, italic, bolds, strike through, break, line break, paragraph, superscript, subscript, font color. Okay, we need to go back now. We're going to take just a small break here in this file. Go look for italics, for example. So we go into the editor. Do we have anything that looks like an italic? We go into our find and replace. We'll start with something super simple. This find and replace is a regex find and replace. So it doesn't do just a normal find and replace. If you want to do that, go edit, find. And you can go in here, and find I. But for right now, let's go in here and we're going to hit F3 and it's jumping down through. But what we need is there an I like this? Okay, is there an I like this? I don't see it. So what about, well, how would we know if there's an italics in this particular tab formatting of the USFM? Go back to their website and go into the USFM documentation. So we're going to go down in here. We're going to go down to word level attributes. And let's see, general syntax. Word and character. Double check there. Specials, character styling. EM. Emphasize text. Maybe you would like that as a bold or as, well, nope, that would probably be an I. So let's just copy that real quick. Let's go into our regex editor. And we'll just open the regex file one more time because we've made a few changes. And we're going to say I, italic. And I put another comment this so I know what I'm looking for. So if I do, and this will be a double backslash space apparently, and you could do, there's multiple ones. This is not necessarily the safest regex. And then double backslash em backslash star. And in here I would go I. Okay, now let's go ahead and save that file. It's best to go up here and save instead of hit Control S. You could maybe get away with it, but be careful. You might be saving the wrong file. Hit no. Okay, let's go in here and go open again. Go into Bible Regex and go into Matthew. Okay, very good. It tells me it's done. You can throw this up here or put it in a different screen. It's just a little window. Okay. Now, did we get any I's? I don't see any italics right now. Let's try a little bigger. Is there any in this one? Well, then let's do this. Double EM. Question is, remember what we have over here in the book editor? We have the original file. And we can get in here as well. You'll see that the find and replace is actually the same in the Bible and the book editor. Go down to F3. Let's just do EM like by itself. I'm kind of curious. This dash B basically means a word by itself. And it does not appear to have an EM. Okay. Oops. Let's get that back up. Go back to regex editor. So we could say effectively doesn't appear to be an italics. What about a bold? Okay, remember going back in here into the files, we have a bold. Getting that guy. You can and I'm gonna close this one because we're going to continue to work into the Word in its regex editor. We'll put this in here, go back into the book editor, go to find and replace, BD. Do we have anything for BD? I am not seeing anything for BD as well. Going back into Regex editor, and we're just going to add it in just to be on the safe side. BD, BD. Okay, then we'll save that. Okay, go back in to your book editor, Bible editor, that is. See, if I was to hit Control Save here, there we go, pop it up. Okay, that's going to help. Bible module editor. Okay, so bold, strike through here, superscript and subscript. And you could go through and say, okay, I want to make sure I have every one of these. It's possible you will have every one. It's also possible you might not. Continuing down, we have some coloring, words of Jesus, Strong's, more footnotes, X reference. Okay. Added words, new line, paragraph. This would be a good one right here. So you see this /P? That would be what we should really replace in our, going in here, paragraph, and it will look something like this. Replace it with something like that. Hit save. Let's go into Bible editor. Now some of these will need to be adjusted. Let's double check. Is it always on its own line? So that is on its own line. So /P is on its own line. We're going to go ahead then and get into the Regex editor and do what we did basically right here. So I'm going to go /P, and we're going to make sure if it has a space, and we want this on its own, multi-line. There we go. And we're going to do CM. And honestly, I want it, yes, just like that. It should go down to the next line. Hit save. We're saving the regex file. Go into the Bible editor. No. Okay. Open them up. Special open. Where our goal here is to move that P as a chapter. Seems there to be an error in here. Nothing to repeat. This regex error is one or both of the following patterns. Okay, I see. So go back into the regex editor, and you'll notice that I'm trying to repeat the beginning of a line. Bad idea. And also, I would like to make this into a repeat one here, but just an asterisk, which means as many times or none. Okay, save that. Bible editor. And as you can see, it's just a kind of a trial and error. And you work through, let's go to Matthew, and there you go. Notice our CM is now tucked in there nicely. Word to the wise. That tucks it in, but it also gets rid of lines. Which is okay. But it would be wise to have items done beforehand, because those paragraph lines are good dividers until we have the Bible ready. So let's go in here into the book editor. Notice we have the S1, the genealogy of Jesus Christ. And that looks to be let's copy that whole line. Looks to be a kind of a heading. In the heading we got, let's actually do another one. Before we get into the heading, let's do a word. I'll show you what this needs to look like. Okay. one individual word, and this is going to do a lot for us. Okay, Bible editor. Actually, no. Regex editor, and this is actually going to make a huge step forward. We're going to go into Word. It's a good idea to have an example above of what you want. There's always a space after the tag appears to be in this USFM, and we're going to go like this. We're going to go up. I mean, caret. We're going every character except the bar, and we're going to do a star, and then this will go up to a star, a bar. We need to escape the bar character in the regex. Now we have a Strong's equals, and then there's going to be 2 double quotations. We're going to go again and up to the double quotations. But we want to get these characters. So this is group number 1. I like when we start getting into multiple groups to put a number above them, just to help us understand what group we're in. At this point, we've been going around 36 minutes. Continue on. If you need to take a break, go ahead and feel free. We're going to continue on our end. So WT, if you look over here in the, I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to go into the editor. In the Bible editor, we have something called a verse rule, and you'll see it right here. I'm going to take a little bit of time now. I'm going to go back to the regex editor, and I'm going to show you a little bit about this Bible rule. Okay, so this verse rule, note it starts with the WT. That's the start of our indicates to the word. There are different ways to do this, but that's what we're doing for today. Where it starts, start a new word. And that word, here's the English portion of it. We'll also have a W, and going back into help, into Bible module specifications, we'll jump down here to Strong's, and that is a WG or a WH. We're not dealing with morphology in this Bible. That would be a WT. So less than W, and then you do your Strong's, and that would be number 2 group here, and then a closing greater than. Okay, and this is very quick and easy, and let's save that. Go back into our Bible editor, open that up, and watch what it does now if we got it right. And it tells us all these Bibles are here. But what did I miss? I missed the / W asterisk or star. So we'll go back in the regex. We go back in here and look at this W star. And hit save. Bible editor. Jump over here. Special open. Matthew. Okay, and you'll see it's starting to develop those right out, just like we need. Let's do this one while we're at it. Verse 1. Okay, so verse, and then there's also a chapter. Let's do verse for now. Okay, so a verse. We're gonna, since it's not gonna take off any lines, it's okay. We don't need to do, the order is not as important on this. So we go in here. Okay, we got our verse. But what do we want to replace a verse with? Okay, save for just a second. Go to Bible editor. Nope. And you'll see verse BI1. So verse _ BI. So go back into your regex editor. So verse, let's get in here, _ PI, and here we're going to replace it with a $1 and then greater than sign, and here we need the digit for regex for that. I'm also going to put an asterisk next to the space because maybe there's multiple spaces. Shouldn't be, but it should be pretty good. Also, there was another one, was a C1, chapter 1. And this one's a little bit trickier because a chapter could have, and that's something like that. Before we do that, though, let's go back in here into the book editor. Look at chapter. Okay, there's chapter. Regex editor now. Okay, I'm going to go in here, put it in. We got that space thing again. Got a couple chapter of the number. Okay, and it would be something like this for the chapter. It'll go CHP should be what it is. We'll just double check. Go back into the Bible editor. CHP BI. Okay, we saved it already, I believe. Let's see what we get. Going in. There we go. CHBI. CM. Notice what I missed. Oh, we still have that C. So go back in the Regex editor. I need to do another. Just like that. And this is one of those scenarios where it could be in this format. I'm just going to double check what we got here. So this is a C. Should be a digit. Here. Now this is getting into one of those where it starts removing lines again. So, okay, go to Bible editor, special open. There we go. You'll see it has a chapter BI on there. It's starting to remove some lines. Okay, so we have an S1. Let's see what else we have in here. Let's go. And we're going to just go like that. So now jumping down through these seems to be a heading. We can double check if you remember over in here and special styling. We could get into paragraphs. Okay, /P/M, all these variations. Oh, we see B is another type. It's indented paragraphing with a hanging indent. That's something you can wrestle with how that could work. Titles, headings, MT. Let's look at that. Gospel, MS, MRS. And this appears to be a section heading. Okay. For right now, I'll just do it as a TS. Okay. Going back into the Regex. Oh, let's go back into the book editor. Grab one of those section heading like that. And go back into the Regex editor again. And you will see. Okay. Now we're continuing on. Section heading. This is getting a little trickier now because we're starting to get into, let's take off these $sign because that'll be a line. Maybe. It's not always needed. Okay. And then let's get into a section heading. And we'll give our information there. Go back into help, Bible. Now, how do we take care of a section? That is a TSN. There's 3 different levels. And since this has a number, we're going to use that number to our advantage. So TSN number. So going in here, double \S1, and we're going to grab down here Maybe there will be a line before it that we need to get rid of. And remember, we want to take advantage of that number in this scenario. There should be a space, and then let's go all the way. We don't want a space after it. If there is a space, we're working to get rid of those spaces. Okay, and we do want an end of the line. Actually, we want an end of this. Okay, which is a new. Okay, excellent. And we will need a single line again. Okay, and now that's going to go into a TS. Use that first number, and then an S2, and then a T lowercase s. So remember, and if you need to, you can jump in here, put your numbers in. There you go. Okay, go ahead and save. I want to just reload this one real quick. Just to clean up the formatting a little bit. Bible editor. And you continue down in here. Going into just Matthew for now. As you can see, it's starting to pull it in. So we have TS1. Ooh, what did I do? TS1, TS. Okay, go back into the regex editor. We have TS1. Seems to have put it after 1, 2. We might be getting a little bit of fun stuff in here. Another way is to be safe is to put that $sign here. Do multi-line. $sign. Okay. Here, Bible editor. And as you can see, these regex rules are done in series. And so what can happen is one rule can overwrite basically a modifier or affect another rule. Okay, so now we have the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Okay, so now we have, oh, you see that? Okay, so we got the S1 first and then the chapter 1. And I told it not to do that correctly. So let me get in there. Regex editor. Let's see what happens when we take out the $sign. Maybe there's not going to be. Go to Bible editor. Go into this again as well. Matthew. Okay, very good. We got that in the proper place. Pairs that the paragraph ones are working decent. Well, same problem. So go back into regex editor. Get rid of that. Let's try that again. If you're not noticing, I'm making sure to save, so it updates the file and so it loads it correctly. Okay, very good. Now we have an MT1 in the Gospel according to Matthew. Now we have TOC. Question is, which one of these do we really want to use? It's something you can wrestle with and get into. You're noticing though that we have chapter 1, verse 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all these verses are starting to line up. So what's the last /B and the /Q1? Going into our formatting, and not always will you have all this information available in regards to paragraphs and items like that. So this one is a blank line, it says. Well, we do not want to use blank lines in the Word. That's just not something that's a normal formatting procedure for us. So go ahead and grab it. Go into the regex editor. We'll go down here to this one as well. And we just call it blank line. Get in here. And we'll just get rid of it like that. Okay, hit save. Go into our Bible editor. Now, some of you may be asking, do you have to go back and forth every time to check? No, you could do several in a row if that's something you're comfortable with doing. That's perfectly fine. Another wonderful tool, and I haven't showed you how it works, is as a regex rule matches. And we also have an edit file. So let's say, how does my file look after I've loaded it? Or what does it look like as an edited file? There's a couple ways. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. This right here. And okay, so now we got those. It'll generate two files in here. It's wise to change these according to type. And you'll see. Now you'll see a bit of deals. Let's go in here. Okay. So you have edited. This shows you what the file looks like as it's edited. This is very good, especially in book editor mode, which adds in the HTML. This, honestly, in the Bible mode, it pretty much just looks just like the edited, okay? But the matches, okay. And this is a fancy file that we've used in EditPad Pro, but you can see it goes through. Let me show you what it would look like in just a basic, like in Notepad++. Okay, so it goes through, and this goes through the rules and say, hey, did this match, didn't it match, etc. There's one match of this rule. Okay, this one has one match as well. Italics, 0 matches. So there's apparently no italics, bold, no. Verse rule, it said this one matches 9,809 times. So basically that's how many words are in Matthew apparently. Verse matches 1,071 verses. In this particular one, chapter matches 150. Now the question is maybe it's matching a couple different things. Oh, sorry, that's the S1. Chapter matches 28. Paragraph matches 203. Blank line 41. So these would be things you could go back through and verify and check out to say, hey, yeah, my rules are working, or no, they're not. You know, especially if you expect them to be working and you don't see them visually. The matches file is excellent for that. It doesn't really affect too much time as far as the processing. It just basically a little bit of time. And okay, continuing on here, we've got quite a few things ready to go, honestly. You'll notice there's a -Q that's in here. Let's go into our book editor mode. The \Q. Here. Find an example. Okay. \Q. Go into the regex editor. And what was a \Q? I think it was a version of a paragraph. I'm not 100% certain. And let's go in here. This one, so Q, and let's do a number. Grab the number off of it. Okay, and I believe it said it was a hanging indent, I think. Let's be P, poetry, Q number. Okay, paragraph. Yeah, level of indent. Okay, so yeah, grabbing the number is a good idea. We're going to use the number in our scenario. And what is our, going back to that file, get into our module specs, and we'll go back up to PIN. That is an indent tag. And so going in here, go into PI, paragraph indent, and we're going to use the number, and you hit save. Go into our Bible editor. Note it, you're not seeing the chapter divisions and you're not seeing the paragraph indentation because this is just the text file. This is something we'd look for, double check in the Word later on. Okay, go back in, special open. Remember I said it's a good idea to divide them up because how TotheWord works is it works in series in loading the files. If I was to do two, if I was to load them this way, they would be backwards. I don't need that. I want them in the series. Sometimes that means you need to rename files to put them in the proper order. Go in here, looping through. You can see it's going down through the rules. It tells you down here what files have been done, etc. Okay. So let's see. Now we just put a PI. Let's see. We'll do a quick search, and there we are. And you can tell. You can jump down through, and we have all those in there. You can see also Matthew. Okay. So now we're getting into a stage of what else do we need to use and what should we get rid of? I'm going to do something to give us a little bit of a speed increase as far as these ones need done later, and that's okay. I'm just going to get rid of them for now because we just want to be able to see, hey, is this Bible going to load in the Word? But I would recommend coming back later and wrestling through these. So we're just going to put in here wrestle with later. I'm going to go ahead and each one I'm going to comment out. And by the way, it's these backslash. Okay, and the BK name we've already dealt with. Okay, so we're just getting rid of these for now. And I know it's an H. I want to go to the end of the line. I'm going to do them in the order of occurrence. I will go to this one. I want to be a little bit careful with here because that could potentially get rid of a lot of stuff if we're not careful, and we might have to come back in here and get rid of it. Okay, so H is one of them. TOC1, and there's a potential that we can get rid of both of these TOCs using this for now. I would recommend, like I said, so we have TOC1, TOC, and I'm going to do I'm not using the grouping right now. Perhaps that's something we could use later. Same way with the MT2, MT1. So MT, and getting rid of that. Okay, let's go in here and save that. Go into a Bible editor and see if we effectively gotten rid of those, or if we need to adjust our verse rules. Okay, now my fellow gentleman that works with me a lot is John, and he's like, don't use the star question mark. He's right. It can be a very vicious regex. It can eat things alive if you're not careful. If you want to see what I mean by that, it did it right here. It ate up the first two verses. So for now, let's go in here, and I'm going to get rid of. I'm just going to go to the end of the line on these, honestly, and tell this one to be at the start of the line. This one, same. So I'm gonna let the empty lines be eaten by TotheWord will just remove those for us on our behalf. So that should get rid of those. Okay, I still have that dangerous regex. Sorry, John, but it can be effective, but it can also be dangerous. So just so you know, if you wind up with some empty lost data, well, there you go. Check it out. Okay, we got verse 3. Something is eating our numbers. 3. Let's try. So when this happens, and it can, what's messing up? If you type in file equals and all the files that you've loaded. What if you wanted okay, so how file works is wherever file is at, the regex following that file equals or they apply. This gets kind of sticky, but here's an example. For example, if I wanted only certain rules to apply to this file. I wanted just these rules to apply to this right here, USFM. It would do that. And if I put in another file, .usf, and there are times, because there are certain times where you need a regex rule for just one file, not for everything. In my scenario, I want to, without you commenting out all these, I want to just tell them they're not going to get anything. And so, because I want to test this, are these good rules or are they bad rules? So let's go to special open. We're looking to see if we can get verse 1 back. So we have verse 1 right here. I believe I know what it is. It's MT1. And MT1 is going up to a line because chapter has got eaten something. So I'm going to go back in here and go to regex. And I want to make this a little bit safer. I have I'll turn this and I'll just comment this out. Okay. Now chapter, it's good to get rid of some stuff. But I have too many things eating up data. So let's get rid of, I like getting rid of blank lines, but we don't want to get rid of too much. So for right now, we'll come back in and we can get rid of some of these blank lines as we go later. By the way, this can speed things up if you want it to. If you turn off the single line option, it will make it faster, much, much faster. The ones that empty, like this one actually, because it just disappears completely. We'll leave it alone. And the same way, that's actually, we'll see. There might be another theory as to how we can pull lines together. Okay, got those back in there. Oh, we got one more to go. And boom. I'm going to leave the single line on for now. As we could go in and modify that. Okay, go in here to open. And you'll probably notice we'll either wind up with some blank lines or some, that's what I was thinking we would wind up with. You see how they kind of have come into their own. Oh, we have a /p. What in the world? Something else is eating that. Go back into our regex editor. So these are some, let's get rid of this guy. Looking at that looks good. Going down through here, up a D. Do we have anything else eating lines? /p. No. Okay, let's make this for sure easier. Sometimes you have to come through and just kind of rethink what's going on with your regex rules and why is something getting eaten. And often it's not always a quick, oh, that's what it is. Okay, what are we missing here? Done that one before. Our ID. There. Get rid of that. Okay. Back into the Bible editor. Okay, /p is not getting it right here. So let's go down verse 6. What's different about verse 6? So going to verse 6 here. We have 6. /p is at the start. So it's not internal. Go into our regex editor. Some of these rules don't actually have anything following them. /p would be 1. it's not required to have. Chapter would be another. Heading does. This one doesn't. Blank line. We'll see. Put it in there. Okay. Okay. Save. Open. Go into our Bible editor. And we're getting there. We are definitely getting there. It looks like we're going back and forth a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, now we got our Q. It was on verse 6. Okay, we're getting some of that. Now, what we need to do now is that was in the middle of a paragraph. Those ones are a lot more tricky. So how can we start binding these words, these verses together? We have some tricky things we got to deal with here. We have the verse, we have the chapter, we have the book, and those are in their own paragraphs, and they definitely shouldn't be. So there's a couple ways we can do this. One, we can go into our Regex-Rules, and we can get rid of all. So go down in here. This is an interesting one. Okay, get rid of returns and new lines and rebuild. Okay, so we go in, and how this works is this way. /R, don't go in here, /R/N plus. And this gets rid of everything. Now, we need it to reload again. Simple reload. Simple reload file. And this makes it internal to get the lines back up to speed. And I'm going to show you something here. And then I would like to, where this is at, we're going to add in on just the verses for right now. This will be kind of interesting. Okay, so verses. On every verse, we want to put in LR. Okay. I'm going to reload it again after that. And let's see what we got here. In theory, what this is going to do is recreate all the lines on just the verse numbers. Now you'll notice there's going to be a problem, but that's not too big a deal. This can take a bit. Okay. So notice how every line got the new, it's there built in. By the way, that /R/N is a special regex that we built into TotheWord to give it a new line. Okay. Now, what I want to do, though, is I want to pull all this inside that verse. It needs to be inside of the verse number. So go back into the regex editor. Really, CM can be on the line before. Pull in data. This is just a quickie getting stuff in there. Okay, so if it has a CM VI, pull it in. So we're going to go, these are kind of interesting. And we want it to be BI/D plus. Okay. In theory, what we want to do now is everything that was in front of this. Any one of these. can be in here. This last one. And the brackets give us space between. Honestly, if you wanted to do this one, this is a safer regex. There we go. Okay. Now, all we're doing is telling them to go to S1. And we just wanted to flip them. S2, S1. Okay. Next. There could be a return in between. And that should be kept inside there. Not trying to get rid of that one. It needs to be on a single line. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and now we bring in a big boy. Repeat until no match. That one can be very dangerous but very powerful. So if it has an infinite loop, if you just see TotheWord is going at it, we tried to build in some stuff that makes it stop, but that doesn't always work. And so if you just see it going at it, you probably have an infinite loop. So now it's going through. We maybe just created an infinite loop. Nope, we did not. And if you look down here, if you look in the text, we got the Bible, book name, chapter, verse, and all that. The CM that's after the TS should technically be an underscore CM. So we're going to fix that now. The reason for that is otherwise you get this extra weird space that shouldn't exist. Okay. Let's go into here, make the note. Okay, so what all this does is we're just looking for a scenario where it's right after the TS, and we put it in, go underscore CM. This is something to deal with toggles, headings, and I'll show you something here in the, let's save this file, go into Bible Editor, and we have a verse rule right down here. When they're CM, it toggles based on heading. Okay, let's go ahead and open this again. See if we got that little CM fixed. Takes a little longer because it's dealing with redoing those words and dumping it around. And there you go. You'll see it right there's our CM. Okay, so this is, got your chapters tucked in there. We got your book name. I haven't dealt with footnotes, but those are some things you can research. That would be an RF. You'd need to work in that. References are really tricky. Go into the original file, which is also in here. You'll see in the text critical, there's a full one. You check that out. It has some replace in concepts. Let's go ahead and go in here, go to Bible Editor, Special Open. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the, well, actually, yeah, I don't need that, because remember, Bible edits are basically the same. Special Open, and go in here into Matthew through Revelation, hit Open, and while we're doing that, I wanted to show you another file. See if I can get these into a little better. No, it's not. Okay. So we're gonna, don't need the edit file. There is another one when a job gets done. It gets into a total, there's a final regex and total matches. Reload this. Let me open it in one. Now the total regex is a little bit different. Not all not matched. And this gets into a few things you can get into. This does an overall, tries to calculate overall these various ideas and concepts it's something you can look into. The individual ones are much more useful. There is another concept that I didn't bring in here, and there is one, where you use the file all. If you go into the Bible editor help, let's see if I've added the code in here. You have a file. I didn't get into it, but you have file all. You have file. And there's one like final build or build, and you may see it in the file up here. And I'll open it in Notepad++. And if you scroll down through here, and these are all the codes you can kind of wrestle through, we have different ones in here. There's a final build one, and that's kind of the after, and you can use it to go back through all the Bible right here. Final Regex build. You can do there's a final build one. And it goes through and works through some different things. So I'm going to close that for now. And if you have more questions in that regard, please feel free to reach out. Now, we are going to go ahead and see what we have. I like to save it at this stage. And you'll see this in here if you're going to do this, ever work on this. Testing Bible. Okay, Bible build. We got our different concepts down. I'm going to do a random ID because this one is not. I have another one of this and go to test. And you got your about. Okay. The build. We need to put a map file, and basically this map file is empty, and all it does is say, hey, use the map function. Without there's nothing to replace, but it uses the numbers like 1.1.1 as we talked about in introduction. And if you really want to wrestle with these, you need to know the versification as compared to King James versification. It's something you'll have to study out. I did address it somewhat in the introduction file, but today this will suffice. Let's go turn the timestamp on, go to New Testament, and I'm just going to go TCENT test, and boom. And now it's loading, building. It says there's some duplicate verses. Those are some things you can wrestle through. Duplicate verses. 43. So apparently there's quite a few duplicates. Well then, now that we've made the file, go in here, go into edit numbers. You can go in and look for those duplicates. Well, actually it told us where the duplicates were. Those are some error reporting. Check it out. But for now, I'm going to leave this just as it is. There's some things you'll notice. There's some footnotes and pairs that we have a O/W J. That must mean these words would be in red. So they're not going to render right because they don't have the WT. But you know what? Check this out. Look what you've accomplished so far. If you've been able to follow along and wrestle through. Let's go in. I'm just going to put it in a spot in my Bibles. I do that. I have a lot of different Bibles working on their testing and different things like that at times. And so let's go ahead and open up the word, and then we'll look for that TCENT test. And I'm going to load that in just a second. I'm letting the word initialize and getting ready. Hopefully this more in-depth tutorial has helped you work through it. We might, the Regex-Rules especially, we might dig into map versification or map file and how that works at another more intense video. That concept is interesting. You have the standard versification and the alternate, and it's all based around the King James version. But also look into the help file. It deals with it. The index is building right now. So far so good. Of course, there's going to be some errors as we mentioned. Let's go into our test. Okay, yep. What do we get? Okay, since many have undertaken, so you notice how like the words are just a little bit off there. That's because, let's see if we got a little Strong's going down here. Bible view options, Strong's numbers. Okay, got some Strong's going, so some of that's working. Let's see if we can find any or spot any of our errors. So these are kind of, this would probably be a foot, that might be a reference there. Something to wrestle through. We got some footnoting here. That would be an RF. And you can check that out, look into the RF as well, and see how to do that. If I was to turn off Strong's for now, you'll see those in through and out. So the other thing is, do we got any headings? Oh, we got some headings. We don't have the full headings, I don't think, because we didn't remember there were some portions that we didn't get into and deal with. But this ought to get you really moving pretty well on how to handle regex rules, how to break down formats, look for what you need to replace or change out, how to go through and look at that matches file a little bit, especially the individual ones, and jump between the regex editor, the Bible editor, the book editor, and just check those things out. I hope this has been more of an in-depth tutorial and get your taste buds wet and get you moving. Thank you so much. God bless.